And a very good morning and thanks for joining us. I hope everyone is online and has got their cup of tea and nicely rugged up at home, out and about in Ballarat. It's feeling like minus 4.4, but anyway, we won't worry about that. We're brave, tough souls here in Ballarat. My name's John Fitzgibbon. I'm the General Manager of 3BA and Power FM. I'll be your MC this morning. Now, before Stuart Benjamin calls 000 and has the ADF storm in here, let's deal with it straight away with the elephant in your rooms. Yes, I am outside my house, and yes, I am wearing a mask, but please let me explain. The Andrews government has granted exception for broadcasters like me from wearing masks whilst on mic. I spoke to them yesterday to confirm, and when they asked who I was and what I was doing, they advised I didn't need to wear a mask, but in the interest of public health, I probably should wear a bag over my head. So not too sure how to take that. I'm not sure if you can tell where I am, but I'm coming to you live from the Victorian Theatre at our own iconic Sovereign Hill. I was hoping to be in the lolly shop, the home of the famous raspberry drops and other amazing treats that are made and sold here, but they wouldn't let me for some reason. A kid in a candy shop, huh? I don't know what possibly could have gone wrong. Before we begin this morning, I'd like to commence by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land in which we meet the Wadawurrung people and pay my respects to their leaders, past, present, and emerging. Before I introduce our guest speaker for today, I'd like to thank our Biznet sponsors, Adroit Insurance and Risk, BJT Legal, People at Work, Findex, my employers, Radio Ballarat, and the support of the City of Ballarat. Now, you're not here to listen to me all morning, but I will be back a little bit later on. We're going to catch up with the CEO of Sovereign Hill, Sarah Coyne, and we're going to have a bit of a chat of what they've got going on here. Unfortunately, the announcement yesterday that Sovereign Hill will be closing on Wednesday for the short term, but we'll have a chat a little bit later on how you can get raspberry drops delivered to your home and how you can continue to support Sovereign Hill through this pandemic by taking out a family pass or making donations. We'll get to that a little bit later on. But now, our guest speaker, David Dixon, is quietly changing the world as the co-founder of One Girl, a non-profit organisation whose programs have supported young women and girls across Africa through education, scholarships, small business programs, and its social enterprise launchpad. He shows us what's possible when we commit to our calling, no matter how uncomfortable or unconventional. As a TEDx speaker, former Clio Bachelor, and Antil 30 under 30, his unfolding story is one of courage and conviction, selflessness and service. He now helps Australia's leading brands and most intriguing personalities tell their stories in more meaningful ways through the art and craft of film. Very good morning, and over to you, Dave.
Thank you very much, John. Hi, everyone. It's very exciting to be here this morning. I know it's a funny thing doing a business morning and being at home in your study or office or lounge room or wherever you are, compared to our normal catch-ups and morning teas, all that kind of thing. It's very, very nice to be here, though. Please let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from, what had you joined this morning. I know it's still an early morning for a number of people, so yeah, just let me know if there's anything particular that you were interested about listening to today or hearing from me. I'm going to touch on a few things, as John mentioned. I'm going to touch on the story of One Girl and being co-founder of One Girl, as well as the bit of film work that I do, and also the latest business, which is now pivoting into the live streaming and events side of things. So bear with me, but also, yeah, just let me know. Say g'day. It's easy for me to shout out to you guys, but it's great to hear you back through there. And you can also help guide this session today by letting me know what's going on. Okay, so I'm going to get into it. I'm, as John mentioned, I'm the co-founder of One Girl. One Girl started back in 2009, so it's just clocked on its 10-year anniversary last year. One Girl, for those of you who don't know, it's a Melbourne local non-profit which works with girls over in West Africa and East Africa, in both in Sierra Leone and Uganda. And that's supporting girls who are at risk of child marriage, early pregnancy, financial hardship, and supporting them through education, making sure that they get in school or have access to other forms of education that can help them throughout their life. So I'm going to put on a little video just so you can get a sense of why it's important to support girls through education. So to give you just a little insight into why it's important to support girls through education and the difference that it makes in their life, and not just their life, but in their community and then across the whole country and the world. So just backtracking a little bit of how One Girl started. It's always the question I get asked: how did it start? What made you want to start a nonprofit organization? And I guess I was going through a time in my life. I was 20, it was probably when I was 21, 22, 23. I was going out and partying quite a lot. I was finishing university, but I was one of those people who had the attitude of the P's get degrees. I'm here for a good time, not a long time kind of attitude. And it got towards the kind of nearing the end of my degree when the lifestyle that I was living was just, it was not sustainable. And also it left me feeling quite empty and also guilty of that. Here I am going out and partying from Friday through to Sunday morning or Monday morning, and just basically getting wasted. And that feeling of what am I doing with my life? I had dreams of when I was younger of being an Olympic athlete. I had dreams of, all these real aspirational things that I wanted to achieve. And yet there I was just going out and wasting it all away. And so that sense of feeling guilty really stuck with me. And I had that light bulb moment of going, no, I want to do something. This isn't the life I want to live. How can I do things differently? And what can I do that's going to bring meaning and fulfillment into my life and have an impact for others? And at that time, that's when I met another girl, or I met a girl, Chantel Baxter, the other co-founder of One Girl, who was going through a similar kind of experience as me in life. And we thought, well, what better way than join our powers and combine and go off and start a nonprofit that's going to help people on the other side of the world. We were both like 23, I think it was, and we had no idea what we're doing. Once we decided that, the first thing we went and did was to go, okay, well, we need to raise money. We don't know who we're going to support yet. We don't know where we're going to support, but we know we need to raise money for that. So we, if everyone would know the Cadbury's chocolate that you bring home from school to sell, and your kids, bring it home to sell, and you end up eating most of them yourself and putting most of the money yourself. Well, that's how we started. We had, I think it was like 7 other boxes. Most of them got eaten by my housemates, which I ended up having to fork out the money to put in. So it was a very successful fundraiser of raising, I think we raised around $500. And I share that story because that's where One Girl started, as the humble beginning. There was me, Chantel, and our very first volunteer, Vic, as well. And so the 3 of us sitting around our lounge room, divvying up all the chocolates. As we progressed along, we then met some really intelligent and experienced people who became our first board members. And they started raising red flags around what we wanted to do with the money and where we wanted to go. We'd met someone, and we're going to be supporting a school in Kenya. They raised a lot of red flags around how come this school's been being built for 9 years? Why has it taken 9 years to be built? This was a particular project that we're going to be working on. And so that red flag they raised went, okay, we need to do a trip. We need to go over there. We need to spend some time on the ground meeting with people and asking them where we should help and what they need, rather than thinking we know best over here. So we went on a trip. We spent 3 months. We went through East Africa and West Africa. And it was a real big learning experience, not just from going out, meeting with the organizations and learning from them, but also meeting with the people on the ground, the community members, and hearing from them what it was that we could help with, or where they were finding that most challenges were. And it just kept coming back time and time again that the greatest challenges for people was, the people who were impacted the most were girls. They were the most vulnerable, and especially girls who were in rural areas. And the way that we could help them was through education. And this was like almost everyone we met was saying the same thing. So we thought, okay, there's got to be something in this. We then were in Uganda and just at our hostel one day, just kind of doing what you do when you're not out there meeting with other organizations, sitting there watching a movie. We had this knock on the door. Like, okay, it was a bit weird. No one had knocked on our door that whole time. And in came this young girl named Brenda. and she was 14 years old and handed us this note, which said she'd basically been walking around all day looking for money to pay for her school fees. And it was a note from her principal saying she was looking for money for her school fees, and it cost approximately $30-40 Australian. Chantel and I looked at each other and thought, oh my God, like that $30-40 for her school fees is nothing. Like, what? Of course, let's, give her the money. And she, we gave her money. She thanked us. She walked away. Both of us were left feeling like we could have done more. So the next minute we have a knock on the door and she comes back, and it was Brenda. And she's like, oh, actually, I've got another list of things that I need for school. Would you be able to help us out or help me out with those? And so we went and spent the day with Brenda looking around and trying to find the different things she needed for school. And that was a really big moment for me, for Chantel, for what was essentially going to pay for the next 10 years of the work that we're doing. And we just really had that firsthand experience of meeting Brenda and seeing the impact and seeing the challenges that she was facing. So fast forward then, we went from starting One Girl, we met Brenda, came back, got our programs up off the ground, go fast forward a few years. We chose, another question we always get asked is, why Sierra Leone? It is on the other side of the world. If you drew a map, looked at the planet, the Earth on one of those globes, and put a pin in Australia, pin in Sierra Leone, it's the complete other side of the world. But why was Sierra Leone had just come out of it had come through a civil war back in, I think it was 2004, or 2001, and it was a huge impact on the country. Through our time in East Africa and West Africa, it was very noticeable the difference between the support that they were getting, and especially from Australia. There was very, very little Australian support. Australia actually has very little African support, full stop, but very noticeable in Sierra Leone. Just as a little bit of a story around my first time going to Sierra Leone, I remember we landed at night, and when you land at the airport, you have to drive to a ferry dock and then get a ferry across to the main city. It's kind of split by this river. So I landed, and it was nighttime, and you're driving through this little street, and you're seeing these little shops on the side of the road that are made out of like little wooden type structures, and they've all got the kerosene lamps. So it's this real moody scene, and you're seeing all the flashes of the shadows. And it was just this really stark difference from landing in Kenya when we'd first arrived in Africa. That was the first country we visited, or Uganda. And just seeing as we drove through the town that night, just seeing this stark difference at that moment, and let alone getting out into the communities the next day or the next week. So that was a real big opener, and we just thought, yep, okay, this is where we're going to go. This is where we're going to start our work, which has now since expanded into Uganda itself. I'm just going to share a video with one of the projects that, if anyone heard the radio, and a big shout out to Paul, who is tuning in from Ballarat. It's good to hear you and see you, Paul. Just going to get this video up. If you were listening the other day on the radio, those of you who were, I talked a little bit about one of our projects called Business Brains. It's essentially a small business training program working with girls and providing them with the support that they need to start their own business. This came as a result of them asking us, because we went in and we provided girls with scholarships. So they were at school, and they said, hey guys, this is great. We've got a scholarship, but we don't eat during the day. We don't have money for food. We get headaches and feel faint. We can't really study because we're so hungry. Is there some way you can help us out? How about you help train us so that we can run our own business? And so that was a good little thing. And I think it's something that kind of connecting in with right now. It's really important. It was really important for us, and listening to them and saying, hey, this is something that they've noticed for themselves. They're telling us what they need. Let's listen to them and see what can we come up with to help support that. So we came up with this program, Business Brains, which is supporting them and creating these little micro businesses. And I'm going to show the video so you can see a little bit about it and its impact.
These girls that I have been training, they are living in the slums, and some of them are presently in the streets selling, some becoming victim of early pregnancy, early marriage, drug abuse. These are some of the challenges that I noticed with these girls I've been working with. The Business Brain Project has been training young girls in small business entrepreneurship skills. One girl who has benefited from this program is Siamose. When I met Siamose, she was not doing business. From the training, she has taken the venture out of her own personal small business money. She has made for herself a business that is called butterscotch. She sells it in school and she's also selling it at home. If other beneficiaries from One Girl Australia can copy or can follow the footsteps of Siamose, I think it will make a very good improvement in their lives. My name is Mami M. Kanyako, and I am a business brain trainer.
So it's a little story of one of the girls, Sarah Mose, who was in the Business Brains program. Big shout out also to Julia A. That's actually my partner, and Charlotte is my little 5-month-old daughter. They're in the room next door. So big shout out to them. So yeah, that was just one of the little stories from the Business Brains program that has continued on and supported lots of girls. I'm not sure the exact figure they're up to now. In terms with One Girl, where we're at today, I think they've raised over $5 million, or around about the $5 million, and supported over 30,000 women and girls through different programs. So when I think back to that humble beginning of the selling chocolates in the lounge room, raising $500, I think that it really, for me, shows that anything is possible, that anyone can do it. There was nothing uniquely special about Chantel and myself. We were two just young 20-year-olds who had an idea and had a passion for wanting to do something and wanting to make a difference, and thought what's the best way we could do it at that time, not knowing anything about it, was to just start on those little, those baby steps and what we knew, which was selling Cadbury's chocolate. And it was along that path that we then met and sought out others who had experience and had done it before or had worked for other organizations, and drew in that knowledge and experience. But then it wouldn't be possible at all without the team. I mean, the team today, to continue on the work that they're doing, is incredible. And I think of the number of volunteers over the years has been phenomenal, of how many people have contributed their time, the staff members who have come on, the team in Sierra Leone. It really wouldn't be possible without the whole community. Building on that community were a couple of key programs. One was called Do It in a Dress, which is the fundraiser, where we asked people to wear a school dress and do a challenge and raise some money to send girls through school. With that, we created an ambassador program. So people who just love the work that we're doing and wanted to go out there and speak about that. And so there's the ambassadors that we created 100 ambassadors, well, we found 100 ambassadors to go out there and talk about the work we're doing. And so there's this little cycle of having people who are really passionate about the work and bringing them in and making them a part of the family and supporting them in going and sharing that story. So that's a little bit about that. I'm going to get to Paul, your question when we do the Q&A around some advice for people interested in starting a social entrepreneur and social enterprise. I'm going to jump through just to touch on a little bit of a transition. So I did work with One Girl for 6 years. I was a co-founder and co-CEO. One of the things that was important to me, or one of the questions I always got asked, was, how do you see yourself as a founder, co-founder? Is this your lifelong mission? Are you going to be working this for the next 30 years, or is this something you're going to work on and then hand over? And for me, it was never about, it was never as much as it felt like my little baby. It was as much about this organization having a life of its own rather than being reliant on me. And I think that was one of the biggest things I realized, was that for it to be sustainable, that it had to have a life beyond me. And so was it 4 years ago now, I stepped back from the organization, and it was at a critical time where I saw, well, not a critical time, but it was at a time that I saw that the organization would be sustainable if I did leave. Like it was the first time that I could see that it wouldn't fall in a heap if I walked away. And that transition was a really important part, both for me and the organization, and seeing today that it continued 4 years after is just an absolute testament again to the community that is built around One Girl. So for me, my next journey was to focus on the filmmaking. And that was something that I saw through One Girl, was just an incredible opportunity for us. We're trying to connect people with our work over on the other side of the world. And to do that, we realized that video was the best way. And I could see the impact that that was having with people through the work that we're doing and our supporters. And so transitioning into that and seeing how video is such a powerful medium. And I'd love to know if people are using video today in their businesses, at their work. It's such a powerful medium. And even now with live streaming, with everyone going to a remote workforce, it is just such a, I know that people on a lot of Zooms like this. The whole events industry has now shifted. We're not being able to have physical events to now running live stream events. These are just really important tools that we can use and utilize to be able to both create an audience around what you're doing in your business or your nonprofit or social enterprise, as well as if it's an internal, to support or communicate to your employees. I've got a couple of quick little stats. So for video, by 2020, online video will make up more than 82% of consumers' internet traffic. That's 15 times higher than it was in 2017. Viewers retain 95% of a message when watched it in a video, compared to 10% when reading it in text. And last one, 96% of people have watched an explainer video to learn more about a product or service. So it's just like, you could see how the value there, just through those three little stats, is so critical, or it's just such an opportunity. And I think that's what the people I work with see that as well. Some of the videos that I do for people are around, whether it's a masterclass for a biscuit decorating company, or whether it's a, how about I just show you? I might show you a video right now from one of our, if anyone knows of the company Laminex. This was an employee value proposition that we created for them not too long ago.
This is a story about the search, about a restless desire to make things better. We're all born curious, but some of us never grow out of it. For some of us, innovation is not an aspiration, it's a way of life. This is a story about Australia. A story that's been coloured by our landscape, shaped by our unique lifestyle, and served by hands and hearts like yours. It's the story of Laminex. A story that began with a vision from a tin shed in Melbourne and has become the largest manufacturer and distributor of premium decorative services in Australia. Now, we might not have been formally introduced, but we've been in your life all along. See, our work enables the great work of our hospitals and schools. It forms the foundation of our restaurants and retailers. It serves the creativity in our labs and warehouses, studios and office spaces. But most importantly, we've been the heartbeat of the Australian home for over 85 years. And despite our age and the wide arc of our reach, we feel younger than ever. It's our fascination with what's possible that propels us, our dedication to quality that sustains us. It's our belief that good design makes good living that keeps us moving forward. As we face a new world with new challenges and new opportunities, our search continues. For now, to find the willing, to find those that share our belief that the best destinations are found on the journey, and that the best journeys are built by a community. And we're not looking to fill roles, to tick boxes or meet quotas. We're looking for those who are looking for us. What are you searching for?
So that was just one little example of how we use video to help both empower the team, the staff at Laminex, as well as show new employees what the company is about and why you should work there, and really driving at the core of who they are. But that's just one little thing. I think for my what I want to leave you with the video side, live streaming side, is that it's accessible now. It's something that has not been accessible for people for a long time. It's been used by big companies or with the marketing on TV, big budgets, video production. The cost has come down so much now. Everyone has an iPhone where you can go out and record something for your business, for whether it's internal for your staff to send them a message, or whether it's out there and externally trying to bring in a new audience or communicate to your customers. It's such a powerful medium. The same with live streaming. I just can't recommend it enough. But we can jump over to John, and I can ask some of your questions. I know there's so much in one girl, and trying to compress down 10 years of history into a short little talk, I find really, really challenging. So if you have specific questions like Paul's question, please chuck them in the comments section, and I can get to them and answer them away.
Dave, we'll get to Paul's question in a sec. I guess I'm just sort of looking through some of our participants, and I know that Julia's on there with Charlotte, so I'll walk a narrow line. But we have a high proportion of female attendees. Can I ask? I need some tips. Who won? Who did you lose to for Clio Bachelor of the Year? And any tips for me on what I should be doing?
Look, I didn't stand a chance. I lost to, I've forgotten the guy's name, but he was from the what's the show on Sydney, Bondi Beach, Bondi Rescue. He was one of the lifeguards from Bondi Rescue. And I mean, he's fit, he's muscly, he's just an all round funny guy. So I didn't stand a chance. But my advice would be, it's all about who you know.
All right. All jokes aside, Paul has asked, do you have some key advice for people interested in starting a social enterprise?
Yeah, I think the first part is just going for it, being clear on what your idea is. Or, I mean, even for us, we weren't crystal clear on what we were doing for probably 18 months. We started off with, it was going to be education for boys and girls. It was going to be other types of programs. It was going to be in Kenya. It wasn't until 18 months that we really started to hone down on and get really specific about what we're doing. So first I'd say is start. Surround yourself by people who have experience, or seek out people who have experience in areas you don't have, or knowledge gaps that you might have. Build yourself, reach out to them. Even if you might see them, reach out to me. We can have a chat offline. It's fine. Some of the key things that happened earlier on were due to the people that we got on the very beginning. The board that we created consists of Julie Mundy, who was the CEO of Maria Stopes International Australia. She'd been the CEO and set up in Australia. She'd been here for, I think it's 10 years. And so she just had this phenomenal experience that helped us understand what we needed to do. But there's also a lot of great resources around social entrepreneurship as well now. So I think just dive in, go for it, reach out to people that you can find have a social entrepreneurial background, look for the different resources. Dive in.
Dave, what was the most important mistake that you made?
The most important mistake? Is that what you said?
Because we learn from our mistakes, and along the journeys, was there a mistake that you can recall but it became important?
I think it wasn't necessarily like, I don't have a particular moment, but I know very early on, because it started with Chantel and myself, and I think we're very attached to, this is our baby, this is our baby. And so when we had that first moment of bringing in people to support volunteers, it was very hard, that delegating and letting go and trusting and giving people that opportunity. So I think that was probably early on a personal challenge to overcome, and just learning how to delegate, and seeing it as this is an opportunity for others as well, and that we're all in this together, which is a pretty big thing, because once that shifted, then more people would come and volunteer and more people could support. And now I always think of the ultimate form of delegation was to leave one girl, and to not be relying on me in that way, because it was like, okay, guys, you're going to have to pick it up. You're going to have to learn this now. You can't just rely on me for the answer. You can, take the reins.
So is it important to be passionate about what you're focused on?
Hugely.
Say with one girl, was it important?
Hugely.
Was it important that you were focused, that you were passionate about that focus?
Yeah, I don't think it's possible to be able to do the work that's required if you're not passionate about it, because I'm one of those people who thinks that I'm of the believer that results take hard work. That's just me. I think that nothing I've achieved in my life has been easy. It's taken long hours and persistence. And I think, and there were lots of hard times. There was a lot of weight, a lot of stress. I mean, having this organization over on the other side of the world and having to deal with a country where a lot of their systems are quite backwards and don't work. And we joke about it with local people on the ground and our local staff. But there will be a lot of tough moments, a lot of moments of stress, of feeling weight, overwhelmed. And I think that if you don't have that passion, it's going to be hard to get through those moments, because that's really was for me the part that just kept bringing it back to, no, this is for the girls in Sierra Leone. This is I'm doing it for them. They're counting on me, kind of thing, and not that kind of like just the feeling of responsibility that
Now, just remember, if you've got any questions, put them in the comments section. We'll definitely throw your questions at Dave. Dave, I've just during this broadcast, during your talk, it started snowing. So I'm sitting here watching a snow flurry outside the window here at Sovereign Hill, which is amazing considering that we were just talking about that a little earlier. And also just encourage everyone to make sure that you send your photos through too to Commerce Ballarat of you sitting there having your cup of tea and doing the Biznet chat this morning. Dave, from Michelle Dunn, how did you get such experienced board members to be willing to invest their time in a startup with no experience? Did you know them already?
So I didn't personally know them, but Julie Mundy was a contact through my dad. My dad had a relationship or a friendship with Julie, and it was a colleague. Another board member was also a colleague of Chantel's dad, or not a colleague, just Chantel's dad knew. And so there was a bit of that, and they helped. So knowing that first person, knowing Julie, then she helped find the other board members at that time. But even if you don't know, one of the things that, like, it was very nerve-wracking going in and speaking to Julie about the idea, as much as we were blind, like we were naive and yes, we're going to do this, we're going to change the world, this is where we're heading, you're either coming on board or you're not, kind of thing. But for her, she saw our passion, and that she knew we had no experience. But what she saw that gave her a sense of, whether it be what drove her was our passion to wanting to do the work. And she saw us and went, you know what, you guys are really passionate about this. You guys are really excited. I want to support you. I can see that you're committed. So I think even if you don't know the person, but you have that real desire, that want, that passion behind you, reach out to people. And even, I mean, there were a lot of people I think of the number of people that I reached out to and didn't get an email back or met with, but then didn't go anywhere. And I think that's all part of it. it's a kind of numbers thing of you've just got to keep going, and you never know where a conversation can lead. You can meet with someone and then they might not be the right person, and they might say that and say, hey, look, this is great. I'm not actually the right person or right fit for your board, but I know so and so, and I think they would be great. And then they can kind of pass you on that way.
Shout out to James out of Gordon. It's snowing there too, apparently. So nice that you and Julia and Charlotte are tucked up in Geelong. I don't think you get much snow down there, would you?
No, it's still frosty. I've got the heater cranked, so yeah. I just throw it out. Is anyone? Sorry, John. I'll just throw it out. Is anyone out there running or in the process of either setting up a social enterprise or nonprofit, or they've got one running? Are there any other challenges that they see? It's just really, the more that I can kind of tune in to help you while you're on would be amazing. But then I'll throw it back to you, John.
That's all right. I was just going to say, so we have the 3BA winter appeal and the 3BA Christmas appeal that have been run for many years here, and I guess it's like anyone else. We've been challenged this year because a large part of the donations that we receive are those hard drop-offs. So having to, encourage people who have dropped stuff off for 30, 40 years to switch to a different model has been a challenge, and plus the increase in demand. Do you think it's important in social entrepreneurship and charities and so forth to maintain that focus on evolving and pivoting as much as the private sector does?
Yeah, it's I think right now it's a challenging time for everyone, no doubt. And I think even the bushfires, again, that was a challenging time for a lot of nonprofits because if you've got a specific niche nonprofit, even if it's Australian based, but then when there's another cause that comes up and it's really warranted that it needs that support, it can be challenging because then again, it's especially if you're a charity of the where do your dollars come from type thing, which is very important that you have other avenues to bring in income. And I think that what we're seeing now with businesses pivot as such from doing, if you're a restaurant that's eating in, to doing takeaway, to the number of, I bought hand sanitizer when COVID first came, and it was from a barber shop that they started producing the hand sanitizer, or the bottles, distilleries making the hand sanitizer. And I think that it's just, it is really important. And I think that it can frame up, if you're starting something in this time, it will give you strength to help frame up what's needed for your business to start, or your social enterprise to start. And I mean that in that you can see where already, if you can set it up now and find an opportunity to bring in income or revenue, whether it's through sales or whether it's through some opportunity in this current climate, then I think that once we move out of it, you'll just be strength on strength. And I think that there is opportunity now. Granted, it's a very difficult time, and I know that for one girl, I was speaking to the current CEO just recently, and she said yes, when COVID hit, it was just a lot of donations just stopped, and they threw it out and did an emergency appeal, and that was the first time they've ever done that, and they weren't sure how it was going to go, but then the support came through the community. And I think they raised $50,000 in one day, and that was a lot of $20, $50 donations. So the community was there rallying around, but I think it is definitely a time that, we need to be thinking differently. And I see another question from Paul there is, did One Girl get any government grants? We didn't. I don't know if they have any government grants, but we're never really eligible because of the type of work we were doing. There were grants focused in local organisations, but because we're doing work over in Sierra Leone, it was, the local grants didn't fit. And then the bigger grants from the government usually go to the very big, the World Vision's plans, Care Australia, that type of thing.
All right. Well, Dave, I think it gets us to a point where we say thank you very, very much for joining us this morning and giving us a picture of all of that, and giving some very valuable information. And, and look, we just very humble and appreciate your time. There is some, Paul had asked about contacting you about projects. Where can people find you?
Yeah, I can either put my email address in there and you can give me a shout. That's fine. Is that the easiest way, John, if I do that? I don't mind. Yep. I'll just put my email address in the chat and you can shoot me a message. And yeah, I think that's something like I just know how valuable it was along our journey, seeking out and getting support from others. And again, it might only be, you've got one burning question that you're stuck on, and it might be 15 minutes or it might be an hour, whatever that is. Yeah, give me a shout. I can give you a hand.
All right, thanks very much to our special guest this morning, Dave Dixon. I want to say a big thank you to our Biznet sponsors, Adroit Insurance and Risk, BJT Legal, People at Work, Findex, and of course, Radio Ballarat, plus the support of the City of Ballarat. We're going to try to do something a little bit interesting now. I'm actually going to hopefully mask up, and then if Zoe can get this happening for me. I'm going to switch over. You got me there, Zoe? Are you able to switch over to...
All right, we're going to go mobile. So I'm going to go for a bit of a wander because we've been upstairs here in the Victoria Theatre, and as you're aware, it has been snowing here in Ballarat, various parts of Ballarat. I'm not sure the snow's still here at Southern Hill. It was. This is not the only time of the year that, well, there's real snow this time of the year at Southern Hill. Normally there's the Winter Festival here at Southern Hill, but unfortunately this year that didn't go ahead. It is a little bit sad that it was announced by Southern Hill yesterday that they won't be... They won't be, unfortunately, they're going to have to close as of Wednesday with the stage 3 restrictions. But as you can see, I thought we'd take a wander outside because there's probably quite a few of you that haven't seen inside Southern Hill for quite a while. So there's still a few little bit of snow falling. So we're going to take a wander down the main street at the moment. I'm hoping you can hear me okay. And yep, I think you're right. So it's actually started snowing again right on cue here at Southern Hill as I wander down. So there's the Victoria Theatre and the United States Hotel there in the background. As we wander down, I just want to let everyone know that Southern Hill, of course, is really underpins the tourism industry here in Ballarat. They've been around for 50 years this year. They can't celebrate their 50th birthday because of what's going on, but which is unfortunate. But I reckon we should have one hell of a party afterwards. I'm here outside the New York Bakery, of course, and we're getting down to everyone's favourite part. Absolutely favourite part of Southern Hill is just around the corner here. But you can still engage and with Sovereign Hill. So I fix my mark, and also support Sovereign Hill because if you head to their website, you can get the most famous Sovereign Hill product that there is, and that is the raspberry drops are available for drop-off. So what you can actually do is head to the Sovereign Hill website, and you can get a Sovereign Hills raspberry drops dropped off to you. You can also go there and get a family pass. It's a great way of supporting, or a membership pass, which is a great way of supporting Southern Hill. And you can see here, I'm outside the lolly shop right now. Surely there's not a single person watching that hasn't been to Southern Hill and been to this store. And you can also make a donation there to Southern Hill. There's educational opportunities online, educational opportunities there here at Southern Hill as well. So this is an amazing sight to stand here in the main street of Southern Hill. I don't know if you can see it, and it is snowing, and it is real snow. It's something I've never done, and it is absolutely incredible, I can tell you. So remember, thank you to Sovereign Hill for having us here this morning. Thank you to Sovereign Hill for all their support. They've been doing it tough. They're a huge employer here in this district. They underpin our tourism sector, and it's important that they come out the other side in a strong way so that we can have a strong tourism sector. So please make sure you can support them in any way you can. Start making your plans to come back to Southern Hill and start talking to your relatives when they're visiting Ballarat and restrictions are lifted that they're coming to Southern Hill too. I'm going to go and try and see if I can get out of this snow because it's getting a little bit chilly. But B, I'm also going to see if I can steal some raspberry drops. because there's no one here at the moment. There's no red coats that I can get in trouble with, so I'm going to see if I can steal some of the raspberry drops that are here at Sovereign Hill. Thanks again for joining us for Biznet. Thanks for Dave Dixon. Thanks to all the sponsors, and thanks to Thomas for having us here this morning. Have a great day.